Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Hello, welcome to Discover Tinley. I am not Ron Santini. Ron is on vacation right now. I am Dave Niemeyer, the village manager. And welcome to Discover Tinley. Discover Tinley is a TV show that's put on by all volunteers, our Community Resource Commission members, as well as a number of high school volunteers that help us put on the show. And today I'm here talking with a number of our senior management folks about some of the great things going on in Tinley Park. Today, my guest is our Police Chief Steve Neubauer. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Chief, why don't we start off just talking a little bit about yourself, about how long you've been Police Chief, and basically where you've served in the past.
Oh, sure. I have been Police Chief in Tinley Park for 3 years now. Prior to that, I served with the City of Elmhurst for over 30 years on the police department. I started as a dispatcher and then worked as a patrolman, a sergeant, a tactical officer, detective, commander, deputy chief, and ultimately chief before I left there. I came to Tinley Park after the previous chief, Mike O'Connell, prematurely passed away, and Tinley Park needed a police chief.
Okay, great. Well, thanks. Well, welcome to Tinley Park. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about the police department in terms of its size, as well as some of the programs the department runs, especially ones that residents may be interested in.
Well, Tinley Park is considered by national standards a mid-sized police department. That means we serve a population of more than 50,000 people. To that end, we have about 100 employees, and 72 of those employees are sworn police officers. That really translates to any time of the day we have between 8 and 12 police officers out patrolling the streets. So they have a pretty big area to patrol, and we count on some input from the citizens and residents to help us make sure we do our job correctly and give us calls and tips and things like that. Tinley Park enjoys a very low crime rate, but that doesn't mean we're crime-free. We handle about 27,000 calls a year, but the vast majority of those are calls for service, not crime calls. My philosophy for the police department is community engagement, and one of the things that I want to make sure the residents enjoy order in their neighborhood. We don't want disorderly neighborhoods. And order in your neighborhood could be a lot of things. It could be depressed property, it could be loud parties, it could be traffic issues, and we would like to endeavor to make sure that neighbors come home to a nice, safe, orderly neighborhood. So we have some programs to try and achieve that goal. We have a very strong traffic safety program, and we have officers specifically assigned to traffic complaints in neighborhoods. We have a crime-free housing program. And that program really deals with rental property, both single-family and multiple-family properties. And we have a crime-free housing officer who makes sure that landlords are in compliance with all our ordinances and rules and make sure that they are not renting to criminal elements. And we have some ways to deal with criminal elements when they appear in rental property. So that really helps with our neighborhood order programs. We also have a problem-oriented policing program where specifically trained officers go into neighborhoods where there's a problem, perhaps with a disorderly house or a drug house, and they try and remedy that, working with all departments in the village. So we do spend a lot of time trying to make sure people live in nice, quiet, safe, welcoming neighborhoods. We also have other programs that include our SALT program for seniors. We have currently a Citizens Police Academy that is going on, and it's a 10-week program, one night a week, where we invite residents to come to the police station and see what police work is actually like. It's a little different than on TV, but the people who go through the program find it fascinating. And then we have a whole array of crime prevention programs, railroad safety programs, those kinds of things.
Okay. Yeah, your Citizens Police Academy program has a very good reputation, and so in the future that's offered annually, and if someone wants to sign up, they should just call the police department.
Right. We really offer it from January to April.
Okay.
That seems to work the best for people with the other events they have going on in their lives, and we do a recruiting for that program in the fall, so we'll make sure that's in the exchange and in the newspapers.
Okay, great, great. What types of things can and should residents be doing to help make Tinley Park, continue to make Tinley Park a safe place to live?
Well, as I said in the beginning, we have hundreds of miles of streets, and so the 12 police officers out there patrolling can't be everywhere at once. So we ask neighbors to call 911 if they see something amiss in their neighborhood. Residents know who belongs, what belongs, if something's unusual, and sometimes they're a little hesitant to call us thinking that they're bothering us, but they're not. We really appreciate when residents call us. So if they see something suspicious, for instance, someone that they don't recognize trying a neighbor's door, a car in a neighborhood that's occupied and doesn't seem like it belongs, we would ask them to call us right away. And timeliness is always important. And we will have officers respond, and they're very good at talking to people and dealing with those things. So if it's the meter reader, they will, find that out and send a person on their way. But this is how we capture burglars, and this is how we capture people who are doing damage to property, is we count on the residents to be our eyes and ears. So we really appreciate when they do that. The other thing that residents can do, we found we had a rash of cars on it over the summer, and the vast majority of these cars were unlocked. And when these cars get broken into, things like wallets are taken, computers, laptops, cameras, credit cards, all things that shouldn't be left in your car, and the car should be locked. So what we're asking people to do is lock their cars and lock their houses. We have a program called Lock It or Lose It, and you may have seen on marquees around town, Tinley Park Police remind you to lock it or lose it. And that is just to remind people that simple act will help protect their property. In the middle of the night, burglars and people who would enter your car, they don't want to break the window because you can hear that glass breaking for blocks at night, and people tend to call the police when they hear that, which is good. But if you just lock your car, that will prevent all kinds of bad things from happening in your life.
Sure.
You certainly don't want your identity stolen out of your car.
Sure, sure. Yeah, the Lock It or Leave It program has really been a great program. I actually use that keychain myself, so I think it's a good reminder of us needing to be cognizant of that. We just have a little bit of time left, so maybe in a minute or so you could just talk a little bit about what are some of the challenges that are kind of facing our department, and I guess police departments in general.
Well, clearly digital crime is a huge problem. We have crimes that are internet-based scams and crimes, trying to keep ahead of those, crimes that are used and occur over the cell phone and in social media. So we have specially trained officers to try and retrieve the evidence for those crimes. They also do public presentations on internet crime and digital crime, but that is a continuing challenge that we find in almost every crime we deal with. There's a cell phone involved, there's a computer involved, and those things needed to be treated as specialized medicine. We also have the same drug issues every other community in the region is having, and we've seen some abuse of prescription drugs and unfortunately heroin. And it's a police problem, it's a criminal problem, we get that, but it's also a medical problem. And not only is there arrests and crimes involved with that, there needs to be treatment for that too. So we do our part of it, and the treatment part is always a problem when we deal with those people. So we have those kinds of issues, and then we deal with everything else from traffic to homeland security.
Sure. Well, Chief, you've given us a lot of information today and a lot of the great programs our police department runs. It certainly is recognized as one of the premier departments in the area, and thank you for your leadership in continuing to make Tinley Park a safe place to live.
Thank you. It's
Thank
the
you.
men and women of this police department that deliver the service on the street, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. It's a great department.
They all do a great job, and we're so fortunate to have the employees that we have. So.
Yes, we are.
Thank you for your time. My next guest is Ivan Baker, our Director of Economic Development. Welcome, Ivan.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Ivan, we want to learn today about what's going on economic development-wise in the village of Tinley Park. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about where some of our current economic development efforts are focused on?
Absolutely. Well, it's really exciting to be here in Tinley Park and promote economic development. Everything is really focused on our ability to improve the quality of life and improve a business climate so that companies can grow and prosper, not just the companies that are here, but new companies can come in and create investment, help broaden the tax base, help all of our community citizens, and create an environment that's even better to live, work, play, and shop. And fortunately, Tinley Park has had such a great history of promoting strong economic development thanks to the mayor and the board and previous leaders that have worked hard to create that great climate.
Great, thanks. What types of assistance does the Village Economic Development Programs provide?
Well, everything we do is directly in response to the needs of business. So again, following the guidance that the mayor and the board have set forth, we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs on real estate because businesses need to figure out a place to locate, whether they're leasing or buying a piece of property. Possibly they want to build a new building, but we're there to assist them in finding the real estate. And we spend a lot of time in dealing with promoting the real estate issues for companies. We also assist companies with opportunities on financing. There's really some amazing programs for low interest financing for companies, so we want to make sure they're aware of those to save money. If our companies are saving money, they're making more profits, and that's good for our community. We also look at workforce training. We've got programs to help companies if they're doing any special training for their employees. Upgrading skills, we can help with that. We're primarily a one-stop shop as a resource for companies to learn about the programs that are available, whether they be in real estate, financing, workforce training, things that are available from the county, from the state, from other entities, to ensure that they can do well and make more money. And of course, we do spend a lot of time in promoting the incentive policy that is in place for the Village of Tinley Park. We have an incentive policy that primarily helps businesses grow, encourages investment, encourages job creation, encourages occupancy of vacant buildings. The primary issue is that we're here to create a better business climate that will broaden the tax base for the benefit of everybody in Tinley Park. And by promoting those programs, we can best help business.
Yeah, great. Well, you've done a great job at certainly advancing some of these programs, and it helps having a community like Tinley Park to promote. So
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. What is it about? What is so special about Tinley Park in terms of its business and economic environment that helps you market the community so well?
The great thing, you and I have been in this business a long time, and we know communities that have really successful economic development programs, and we know communities that don't. The 34 years I've been in this business, what is amazing to me is how Tinley Park leaders have done everything possible for decades to make sure we have a climate that's good for business. When it's good for business, it broadens the tax base, and that makes sure that it's good for the citizens. This is the only community I've worked in that has set a policy, a very simple policy, just saying we're going to broaden the tax base, we're going to make sure to help the homeowners and look at that the homeowner property values are increased, and that we're creating quality development. By doing those three things for over 40 years here in Tinley Park, we've established a program that not only has created a lot of jobs, we now have almost 30,000 people that work in Tinley Park every day. But we have a tax base that's so diverse that we're able to have good jobs, a variety of businesses, and our citizens benefit by having one of the lowest tax rates in the entire region.
Right. Yeah, diversity is really the key.
It really is.
The industrial, retail, the hospitality. There's very few communities that have that base that we have, and certainly that helps us a lot.
We love manufacturing. We
Sure.
love those good paying jobs. We've got
Sure.
12,000 people that are working
Yeah.
down in our business parks. And
Yeah.
most communities in our area are quite envious of the fact that we
Yeah.
have such a diverse economy.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a lot of our residents come up to me and say, you know, geez, what can we do as either business people or residents to kind of help promote good economic development in Tinley Park? Is there things that residents can do or business people can do that can?
Well, I think the great thing, you know, we live here. This is
Right.
our
Yeah.
home. You know, people that work at the village.
Yeah.
This is our home, and so we
Right.
all are in the same boat. We want to make sure Tinley Park is the best it can possibly be.
Right.
Well, to do that, the best way to keep our taxes low is to make sure we shop here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, there's always something that may not be available, you know, in Tinley Park. But what we hope is that every citizen of Tinley Park will at least try to, before going out to another town to buy things, that we at least check to see if there's a store in this community that can serve their needs. And we have more stores in Tinley Park today than we've ever had, so I think there's more opportunity. And obviously, we all want to promote Tinley Park when we are at the store,
Sure.
when we're at church, when we're at a family reunion, when we're having dinner with friends. You know, say good things. You know that this is the greatest town around, and
Right.
so be positive. That does get around when people are very positive about their hometown. And for us in our department, as you know, Dave, we are extremely responsive to the citizens. So if any of you know of a store or a particular business that you'd like to see maybe come to Tinley Park, just call me. Call Dave, call me. We'll contact them. We'll do everything possible. If the market is right for them, if they can make money here, if we have a store or a location for them, we'll do everything possible. So your help is really important to us. We're not a big staff, but we'll do everything we possibly can, and we appreciate the help of the residents.
Yeah, there may be some great ideas out there, and we just need to hear about
Yeah,
them.
we're all in
sometimes.
this
So that's great.
together.
That's great. That's great.
It makes a big difference.
Got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about, you know, one of the major goals, both the trustees and the Economic Development Commission, you said a few years ago, was to become accredited. Very lofty goal because there wasn't any communities in the state that were accredited for economic development, but yet we got it, and you know, great effort. But why is that important to us, and what does that do for us as a village?
Well, you know, the citizens of Tinley Park can be so proud because we have an accredited fire department, emergency management, and the Tinley Park Economic Development Office is the first accredited economic development organization in the state of Illinois. But the primary issue was to make sure that we are benchmarking with what is the best practice in other communities, other states. And we've learned what we need to do to be better. And so the accreditation is really a metric for us to constantly be the best we possibly can, that we are benchmarking against other great cities that are doing great things, and that we continue to demand the best. And of course, the accreditation was a direct result of the support from the ECC and the mayor and the board, because they wanted us to continue to push ourselves, because quite frankly, the citizens deserve it. You know, they do.
Sure.
We've got to be the best we possibly can be.
Well, Ivan, you've given us a lot of information today. Tinley Park has been working very hard on economic development, and a lot of fruits of the labor have shown, and we're continuing to work hard downtown, mental health center, and there's going to be a lot to report on over the next few years.
There is, and thank you for your support,
Yes,
Dave.
and thank you for
We
your
couldn't do it
time.
without-
My next guest is our village treasurer, Brad Bettenhausen. Brad, welcome to Discover Tinley.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate you being here. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how long you've been with the village and what your duties are as our village treasurer?
Well, I actually am 1 month shy of 31 years with the village.
Wow, that's impressive.
Started originally as a part-time position, or at least that's what it was billed as at the time. I don't think it was a part-time position from the get-go.
Right.
But we've enhanced the function considerably over time. The treasurer's position is equivalent to a finance director for many other municipalities.
Right.
And we were responsible for the daily bookkeeping of the accounting of the monies coming in and being spent, involved with the annual audit, the annual budget, the tax levy, providing for debt financing, planning for capital projects, lots of different things, all involving money.
Yeah, and you've got a good staff that assists you in doing all that, and yeah.
A small dedicated staff,
Yes,
and
yes.
they do a great job. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's obviously the village finances are one of the most important things. That's what makes our village run. And a few years ago, Tinley Park, like every municipality, was facing some really big challenges with the Great Recession. And just tell us a little bit, compared to a few years ago, how is Tinley Park faring revenue-wise compared to the lean times a few years ago? And while you're talking about what are the major revenues that we as a village rely on to kind of fund police, fire, public works? And the like?
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the recession, we saw our revenues decline dramatically in a very short period of time, and fortunately, we kind of foresaw that coming.
Good. And
made some corrective adjustments with our operations that helped us survive through the recession without actually laying anybody off.
This was impressive.
Which was something to be quite proud of, quite frankly. Obviously, part of that was through attrition, as people retired or otherwise left employ. We didn't refill those positions, and that helped us to weather the storm, so to speak. Our three biggest revenue sources for the village general operations is property taxes, number one, sales taxes, number two, and the state share of income taxes is number three. Property taxes right now is about $18 million of our budget, revenue-wise. Property taxes about $16.5 million, and income taxes about $5.5 million. Right now, for some reason, our income tax still is running a little bit light of what we had expected, but we have seen our sales tax numbers have rebounded almost to pre-recession levels, and quite pleased to see that.
Yeah. Well, and some of the things like the income tax, we're relying on the state. The state has had its challenges, which is a whole subject for another discussion. So
big plus in that regard is obviously with the state's financial problems. We at one point in time we were running as much as 6 months in arrears in getting the money from the state that we were supposed to receive, and we're now down to running pretty consistently of 1 to 2 months behind. Which is quite good. Yeah.
Well, your statement about surviving the recession without layoffs really is something that is a lot to be proud of, because there's a lot of communities that had to do it, and so it says a lot about how Tinley Park's managed. One of the things we were just talking about with Ivan that we also are fortunate to have is a diverse tax base. We've got a good commercial tax base, but it relies industrial, retail, hospitality.
Good mix.
That's the envy of a lot of communities. So. You touched a little bit on property taxes, which is always kind of a challenging and confusing subject for a lot of people. We have a short time today, and I'm sure you could probably talk about the property tax process for 20 minutes, but maybe you could just talk a little bit about what the village tax levy is. Then you talk about how it compares to recent years, and then what is the tax levy process?
Sure, I'll try to keep. I'll try to keep.
I was going to say I've given you a 20-minute question and didn't do 2 minutes. So
well, property taxes is a very complex area,
right?
And there's many moving parts to the process, which makes it all the more confusing, because one thing can change and then it will have other impacts that to your typical homeowner isn't really easy to decipher. One of the things that the village has done in this past year, we enacted a home rule sales tax of 0.75%. and with that, we did that because as we projected our future revenue streams, we found that we were going to have a shortfall in our ability to maintain a balanced budget and maintain operations at the levels that we've come to follow.
Right.
So we implemented the sales tax, but part of that, the village board also decided that they wished to hold our property tax levy flat. So for our 2014 levy that we passed in December, it is exactly the same levy as we had in 2013.
Great.
So there will be absolutely no increase in our property tax request. However, depending on what happens with individual property values, some people may still see an increase in property taxes, some might see a decrease. Overall, the village represents between 10 and 12% of the tax bill, so we're really a small piece of the total bill. With the public library, represents another 4%, which they're kind of closely related to the village as well. You're looking at 12 to 14% of the total bill.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and it's confusing for a lot of folks because they get the bill, and as I say, there's a lot of different taxing bodies on it. But it is important just to understand for us as a village, property taxes we really take a small portion.
Yes, it is.
So,
and
yeah.
the other key is of course we levy a dollar amount.
Yeah.
So what happens with the property tax base will ultimately can either drive the tax rate to increase or decrease, and it makes no impact on the dollars that we're going to receive.
Yeah, yeah. We just got a short time left. Maybe you could just touch on one or two kind of challenges you see next 5 years, 10 years for Tinley Park municipalities in terms of, finances. What should we be thinking about? You read a lot about pensions. You read about the state's fiscal health. I mean,
we obviously we continue to have to monitor our budgets, and constantly we have to watch and control our costs to stay within our budgets, and watch the budget creep both with personnel and with other operating expenses. Being able to fund for those increases that we can't avoid still is going to be a little bit of a concern going forward. That we have enough revenues to support our operations properly. That's probably the biggest concern. Sure. What happened? You mentioned pensions. That is still a very hot topic. Our pensions are well funded. Are operating operating well, producing good investment returns. Not a huge concern. However, with some of the changes in reporting requirements for pensions, will continue to keep a spotlight on the pension issue, as well as what they refer to as OPEB, the other post-employment benefits, the benefits provided to employees after they've left our employ.
Well, you've identified a couple challenges and really talked about a lot of good things today. So we really appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on our show today. Thank you for joining us on Discover Tinley, and we'll see you next time.
Tinley Community Expo will be held April 11th, 2015 at the Tinley Park Convention Center, 183rd and Harlem from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Southland's finest community expo is free to the public and allows the visitors to view exhibits from local businesses, professionals, nonprofits, churches, fraternal groups, and local government. Looking for a doctor, a bank, a real estate professional, or someone to fix your windows? You can find all these and more while enjoying the entertainment and food samples from local restaurants. It's a family event with face painting, balloons, and inflatables for the children, so mark your calendars now. If you wish to participate in Discover Tinley, you can download an application at www.tinleypark.org or call 708-444-5444. We hope to see you there April 11th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.